both the prosecutor and the defendant and the defense attorney, if one is present, are supposed to be ready to go to trial, wherein the state would have to prove and would carry its complete burden to prove the charges. So the state would have the complete burden to prove the charges against the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt. The defendant present would then have an opportunity, either self-represented or through counsel, to challenge the evidence by cross-examining witnesses, or if they choose to do so, present any evidence that they believe would support their defenses, if any. At the conclusion of the trial, I will then render a verdict of either guilty or not guilty. So at the present time, I'm just going to do a brief roll call to see who is present. Ms. Dorothea Bates. Present. Ms. Bates, who's representing you? Myself. Position 2, Jalen Hines is, that case has been reset to June 27, 2023, trial calendar. Position 3, Shanta Jackson. Shanta, C-H-A-N-T-A Jackson. I have someone walking in. Yes, ma'am, may I have your name? I'm Shanta Jackson. Perfect timing. Please have a seat. Just call your name. Ms. Jackson, who is your attorney? A case management order was issued on January 26th. So you understand this is the trial date today? Yes. Okay, good. Position 4, Mackenzie Parker, case has been null crossed. And position 5, Paul Anthony Tavella. Mr. Tavella, who's your attorney? I don't have one. Are you prepared to go forward with the trial?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. They will then first call, excuse me, Mr. David, do you have an announcement from the case from this morning, State versus Anthony Wilburn?
I do, Your Honor. We're ready to enter our negotiated plea in that case.
Have you completed the paperwork?
Yes, that's what we're doing outside.
Okay. If you'd like to take the podium, we can proceed with the plea. Ms. Bates, how many witnesses will you be calling? None. Ms. Jackson, how many witnesses will you be calling? And Mr. Tavella, how many witnesses will you be calling? For the state?
Your Honor, for Ms. Bates, none.
None?
We actually have come to a resolution. We plan to do the FBI and upon completion of that, no process charge, Your Honor.
All right. And what about Ms. Jackson?
That is
Ms. Jackson just appeared in the gray jacket.
Yes, Your Honor, if I may just have one brief word with her, we weren't able to get
Okay.
in contact to extend the plea offer.
And what about Mr. Tavella?
That's going to be a negotiated plea.
Okay. All right. This is a case that we had called at 9 o'clock this morning. Mr. Wilburn had indicated to hold for his report, and he did appear.
You appear,
So-
Judge. Yes, ma'am.
This is State versus Anthony Wilburn, case number 20 CR 021-593E. Mr. Wilburn is accused of simple battery, domestic violence, and criminal trespass, causing damage to property. Mr. Wilburn, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and Mr. Frank Gaker has graciously agreed to step in to represent you where Mr. Larry Horn unfortunately had a conflict. Are you all right with proceeding with Mr. Gaker?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Wilburn, if I may place you on the oath of offices of the plea. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Superior, are you? Yes. What
Yes, I'm here.
is on the Zoom screen? Yes. And what is the plea offer?
For the simple battery, family violence, and criminal trespass and damage to property, it is 12 months probation, a family violence intervention program, 20 hours of community service, and no contact with Emiko Stewart.
Mr. Gator, does your client's, this is a guilty plea or a nolo contendere?
I was under the impression it was a nolo contendere looking on the guilty plea on the offer sheet?
That is not what we agreed to, Your Honor.
Oh, well, then that's my mistake. Then we'll just change that to a guilty plea then. If you look on the sheet where where the rights are, it just says no low.
I know that was underlined, so I didn't know who underlined it.
It must have been on the other sheet. Well, I underlined it because I thought this was a no low plea. I'm sorry.
I don't have the whatever documents, I only have the formal plea sheet.
Okay, do I need to change? Let me.
I'm doing it.
Okay, no problem.
Mr. Wilburn, I don't know if it was represented to you that you are pleading no contest, but the state will only accept a guilty plea. Would you like to move forward with the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And, Mr. Gaither, do you stipulate factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Judge.
All right. Mr. Wilburn, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Have you understood everything that's going on so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And, has anybody, forced you, induced you to take this plea off today?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with Mr. Gaither?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And has it been explained to you that if you decide to enter a guilty plea today, that you would have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial, to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery, domestic violence, and
Yes.
criminal trespass causing damage to property?
Yes.
Your sentence is 12 months probation. You will, while you're on probation, you will complete a 24-week domestic violence program. These are weekly classes that you have to pay at your own, out of your own pocket. You also have to do 20 hours of voluntary community service at any nonprofit agency. The supervisor of that agency must produce a letter saying that you have completed at least 20 hours of nonprofit voluntary work. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
At all times while you're on probation, you are to have no contact with Amico Stewart. You have to stay 200 yards away from Amico Stewart, not communicate with this person, either personally or through a third party, through a computer, phone, or even on social media.
Yes.
200 yards away. We good?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Your probation, you need to report to probation next Thursday. And that would be the 27th. April 27th. You must be there before 3 p.m. The probation office is at 132 Mitchell Street, downtown Atlanta. Will that be possible?
Yes, ma'am.
How about your transportation issues?
I'm
You
yes, I'll be good.
sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
I
ma'am.
have to ask Mr. Gaither.
I understand. I understand.
I was told that you started walking in the
Yeah,
morning to get here.
Yeah, I was coming from work. Another place with my ride. I'm messed up right now.
I'm sorry?
My ride had messed up on me yesterday, so I was coming from work this morning.
Okay, so do you think you'll have to end up walking to
Oh, no,
probation?
ma'am, I haven't this before then.
You have transportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Gaither?
That's all, Judge. Other than I think he'll be provided with paperwork with the address to remind him where to report the probation.
Yeah, we're gonna have a probation fill out form for him. All right, sir, if you have a seat, we'll give you the paperwork for you to take with you to probation, and thank you for showing up.
I think that's all the cases that I have, Your Honor. They'll be
You
excused.
can run away now.
Thank you.
And I hope you're feeling better.
I am. I'm feeling a lot better, but
Are you
just
he as well?
it starts in May. And for some reason, I was feeling really good, but for some reason yesterday and today, it's just been cutting up on me. So I want to go take something just a little bit more stronger than ibuprofen. It just wore off.
I have friends who've gone through PT and they've done remarkably well, so.
And I remember you told me before the procedure to make sure I undergo the PT. So I wanted to redo it because I don't want to redo this.
Take care, sir. That's right. All right. Ms. Walter, which case would you like to begin with?
Your Honor, I think we can begin with condition number 1. We're asking that that case be set out on a client calendar about 6 months out. She's to complete the domestic violence intervention program.
All right, Ms. Bates, if you please stand up and come to this podium. All right, Ms. Bates, I just want to remind you of your rights. You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, as you do not, either you didn't qualify, because I have a note here, you're going to hire one, but you've chosen to waive your right to counsel. So you understand that any legal decision you make will be based on your own knowledge and understanding of the law.
Yes.
Okay. The prosecutor, Ms. Waldrop, has indicated that if you complete a 24-week, what we call a domestic violence intervention program, these are weekly classes that you must attend every week for the next 24 weeks.
Okay.
Pay for those classes out of your own pocket.
Okay.
Once you complete those classes and bring your certificate at the next court date, then the state is going to dismiss the charge.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then the state's going to dismiss. So it's basically a diversion program.
Okay.
I'm going to reset the case about 3 months out to check and see that you are attending the classes, that you're not missing them, and that you're on track to complete those classes.
Yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Reckon, do we have a date for status on compliance status?
Would you like it on your regular Friday?
Yeah,
Just to
that'd be
ensure
fine.
if we have 2 minutes to try and find you something. Like July, Judge, or June.
May, June, July.
June. And send us June. We don't have to.
July 7th?
At 1:30, Judge.
Okay. Ms. Bates, you need to come back to court on July 7th at 1:30 p.m., just like today, same location. And just bring evidence or something to the effect of like a registration paper or payment slips that you are attending these classes,
Okay.
that you are paying for these classes.
Okay.
All right? Do you have any questions?
Oh, is there a list of classes or where I can go to take classes?
The domestic violence, does the solicitor's office have a list of domestic violence schools that they recommend?
Your Honor, I don't have a list. The one that comes to mind is Alternative Court Services, American Alternative Court Services. It's called AACS. You'll be able to look it up online. They do offer that course.
Okay.
Are you comfortable researching on the internet?
Yes.
All right, if you just look up qualified BVIP classes.
Oh.
The other alternative I can recommend is going down to a probation office at 132 Mitchell Street. And just tell them that you've got diversion and that you need to do this family violence classes. And they have a list of schools that they can recommend.
Okay. Thank you. So
All right, good luck. We'll see you on July 7th.
1:30.
You write it down?
July 7, 1:30. I'm putting in my calendar.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Right, reset July 7th, 1:30 p.m. on our for compliance. Mr. Paul Tavella,
Yes, ma'am.
have you completed the documents?
I don't have I didn't consult.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so that's still in progress, right? And Ms. Waldo, what about Ms. Jackson?
That is all in progress, Judge. I'll get it to review that case.
Okay. All right, folks, apparently on our remaining two cases, we may be seeking an alternative resolution. So we're going to be recessed until the prosecutors let me know what they're gonna do. Thank you.
Thank you. with position 5, Mr. Tavella. This
Okay.
is going to be a negotiated plea.
All right, we are back on the record. And the state is ready to proceed with State versus Paul Anthony Tavella, 22 CR 0022288G. Mr. Tavella is going to be at the podium. Tavella, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say out of pocket, anything you say about facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. So please exercise your right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. You have had an opportunity to apply with the public defender's office. You've had an opportunity to retain counsel. So are you waiving your right to counsel and proceeding self-represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, please understand that any legal decision you make, you will be responsible on how it impacts your case. This is Mr. Tavella's case in which he was accused of 3 counts of hunting without permission on October 16, 2021. Mr. Tavella, I understand this is going to be a negotiated plea, so may I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth, best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Counsel, what's the plea offer?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's offer in this case is 12 months to serve probation, suspended upon payment of a $500 fine. That is going to be $250 for the count 1 of hunting without permission, $250 for the count 2 hunting without permission, and a null cross for count 3. And during that probation period, a stay away order from Benchmark Properties LLC and the West Park Drive land where the incident was located.
West side,
West Park,
West Park?
yes, West Park Drive.
This is at Benchmark Properties?
Yes, Your Honor. Benchmark Properties LLC is located on West Park Drive.
Okay. Mr. Tavella, you heard the recommendation. They were going to have you plead guilty to the first 2 counts, and then they're going to close out the 3rd count, and they're going to have you on probation unless you pay the $500 fine plus court costs by today.
Okay.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And do you agree that that you are the correct defendant named in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree that this case is probably being tried in Folsom County?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you agree that with the alleged factual basis that the state is has based these charges on?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So you've not consumed any medicine or alcohol, right?
No, ma'am.
All right. And you have understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And are you doing so freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes, ma'am.
You've gone through your plea documents, which I don't have. Oh. All right. And you've read through this document where it explains what are your rights that you have to give up in order to pursue this plea offer?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So you are a defendant in this misdemeanor case. And if you decide to plead guilty to the first 2 counts of hunting without permission, that closes out the case upon your payment of fine. However, if you still wanted to challenge these charges, you would have had an opportunity to go back to court, have a trial in front of a judge or a jury to be able to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, examine witnesses, and have the state carry its burden to prove all 3 charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to 2 counts of hunting without permission?
Guilty.
Sentence is going to be 12 months to pay a $500 fine for both counts, and your probation will be suspended if everything is paid off today.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to report to probation next Thursday.
Okay,
All right,
yes, ma'am.
that closes out the case. If you'd like to have a seat, we will give you your information where you can then understand where to go to pay this fine.
Okay. I'm at this one.
This is-
Is that every time?
This is.
I guess they have it in the city. It's DA.
Oh, yeah, they need to do that too. All right. One more. I'm sorry, class, could I have your last name, please?
Dillingham.
Dillingham. And
Yes, ma'am.
Dillingham, what's the announcement for Ms. Jackson?
I believe Miss Jackson is ready for trial.
Okay. Mr. Tabella, would you mind being seated in the first row behind you? Please take your paperwork with you. Is that yours?
No, ma'am, that's not mine.
I have
okay.
it.
Okay. Ms. Chanta Jackson, you may come forward. This is the bench trial for State versus Shanta Jackson, 21 CR 0022427E. Ms. Jackson was accused of battery, family violence on May 18, 2021. Is the state ready to move forward today?
Your Honor, at this time, the victim in this case, Michael Cabbage Stock, he has been served, or service has been attempted twice. However, he did not appear today. And we do not believe that we can prove this case without him.
All right. Would the state like to dismiss this case on its own motion, or shall I dismiss it for one prosecution?
We would ask that Your Honor would make that motion.
This case is dismissed for one prosecution as the witnesses, the material witnesses necessary for the state's case in chief has not appeared. You're free to go, Ms. Jackson. Thank you. Can we go with the calendar? Are we done? Yes, okay. Position one is, Ms. Bates has accepted the diversion offer from the state, and that case is reset to July 7th, 1:30 p.m. for compliance to show her continuing attendance and progress to complete a domestic violence intervention program. Position two is been reset to June 27th for trial. Position three is dismissed for one of prosecution. Position four is null pros. Position five is a plea. That concludes our calendar. Thank you, everyone, and have a good Thursday. It feels like a
Have a
Friday.
good day.